Defensive specialist, so passing going to be critical today for Auburn. Kemp, prominent middle block, has missed the last three. She returns. Underway in Auburn, and this one has the makings of, could be a very competitive one. Here's the aforementioned Anderson with her first swing, and chance for Georgia. Jackie Barrett, the setter, finds Belle Zimmerman, 1-0.
And we mentioned the fact that there were some starters out for Auburn. Bella Bell, one of them. She played against Arkansas on an ankle that really limited her. They've held her out today. In her absence, we'll see Belle Zimmerman. Not an unfamiliar face, played on the right side for them quite a bit a season ago, so she's got experience.
Yeah, the sophomore from Liberty, Missouri will definitely be more of a focal point offensively. There's Estelle Haugen, who is turning into one of the better complementary pieces behind Evans and Fisher. That one's a bit long, though.
Estelle Haugen, it looks like there must have been a touch there. That point will go to Georgia, so good news for the Dogs. Estelle Haugen, what a true athlete. I feel like you could put her in any sporting event and she would have the ability to excel. She is just such an athletic player.
Great vertical leap, leverage at the net. Up high to the middle, Kyla Swanson buries it.
And this is part of the trickle-down effect of Kendall Kemp being back in the lineup, because now Kyla Swanson can play in her true M2 position, where she is in the front row running away from the setter. They had to use her behind the setter a lot. That is not her forte. Kendall Kemp coming back has big impacts.
So Swanson in her first year after transferring from Illinois. And that is a very comfortable spot on the floor for her. Meanwhile, Georgia knots things up.
Clara Brower, 12 in black there for Georgia. A little bit smaller across the front row as a setter, but don't tell her that. Goes up and battles the big block there.
Georgia coming off of a 5-set agonizing loss a couple of days ago at home to Kentucky.
And days before that, a 5-set painful loss on the road to Florida. This is Georgia's third consecutive ranked opponent.
Boy, they're a couple of breaks away, Missy, from being 2-0 to start league play.
Yes.
Looking for their first win. Anderson asking for the touch. Point awarded to Auburn.
Not only do they get the point, but a huge transition there for Auburn.
So there's Tom Black, a little perplexed look on his face after that latest ruling. 7th season, led Georgia to a 3rd-place finish in the SEC a year ago. Their highest in 27 years, so for both programs, a return to the glory days in a sense a year ago.
Yeah, you say finished 3rd. They were picked 9th a season ago, and that is why Tom Black was the SEC Coach of the Year last year.
Higher expectations undoubtedly this season for the Bulldogs. They've got to win against 10th-ranked Georgia Tech and those 2 tough ones we just mentioned against Florida and Kentucky to start off SEC play. And so you got to go back on the road and play number 24 in the nation immediately for your 3rd. Highlights the difficulty of this league you mentioned before.
It does, and Georgia, to me, from what I understand, had a very good practice, even following that loss to Kentucky, and they are focused and ready to get a win.
It's a quick turnaround. Casey Evans, she's the veteran that's used to these turnarounds. There's her first kill.
And you see there how fast they go to that left pin. Clara Brower creating tempo as she flattens that set out. And what that does is opens just a little seam for Casey Evans to take advantage of.
Brower's the 3-year starter. Just feels like she has more weapons to work with this year than even a year ago. Barrett, back set, Anderson. That one's handled. So here's a free ball for the Tigers. Up a point. Now make it a 2-point advantage.
Not exactly how they designed it, but good news. Kendall Kemp behind the setter, something we know she's very good at, and it ends in a kill. This is what Auburn has been missing, a true backslide hitter with Kendall Kemp out of the offense. Now they've got somebody who's comfortable off 1 foot. I think we'll see Kendall Kemp get better and better as this match goes on.
And Missy, she's missed the last 3. Just saw that 402 hit percentage. That's the best on the roster. It's been an ankle that's bothered her the last few. Big swing. This is still alive. Georgia, though, capitalizes. There's Cece Gooch.
I tell you, every kill from Cece Gooch just, feels like extra for Georgia, because this is a player they did not expect actually to have on the floor.
So now on the other side, there's Brent Crouch. He led Auburn back to the promised land, just their second ever NCAA tournament. And they have just steadily risen up the standings in the SEC the last few years. Swanson, yeah, changeup works there.
And Swanson just looks like a different player to me right now. Coach Crouch said we were asking her to do so many things with Kendall Kemp out of the lineup, things that weren't necessarily her forte, and she really looks to be in a rhythm early in this one.
Just critical to have both back. The ironic part is they were kind of thin at the middle a year ago. He has all this depth. They've been dealing with the injuries this season at that position. That point's awarded to Auburn.
That swing just wide by Cece Gooch. I mentioned moments ago they were not expecting to have the freshman in the lineup so early in her career. But Georgia dealing with issues at the middle blocker position as they're out. Mackenzie Norris has not played yet this season, and Caitlin Fournier also out right now. So they've had to go deep into their bench, and I know Coach Black a little nervous with only really 2 middle blockers left on the roster right now.
Estelle Haugen has picked up the slack in some of those absences.
Estelle Haugen in their last 2 matches had a career best 18 kills at Florida. Certainly her coming out match. I mean, I think she opened some eyes across the conference for sure, and then follows that up with another double-digit kill performance against Kentucky. So not only is she performing, she's performing against big-time opponents.
She got going quickly 2 nights ago against Kentucky. Made an impact early on in a big way. Barrett, that time went to Tori Harper. There's Fisher, and her first kill of the afternoon, swats it straight down.
And by the way, you notice that diving dig in the back row by Casey Evans? She just happens to have 1,000 now in her career to go along with her 1,000 kills. So congrats to Casey Evans.
So he was sitting on 999.
Yeah.
5-setter a couple of nights ago. She goes, how did I not get it done in our home arena? And congratulations, now 1,000 kills, 1,000 digs for the 5th-year senior, who really is the extension of the coaching staff on the floor.
Yeah, Coach Black said, I feel like she can finish my sentences at this point. She's been with us for so long. It's got to be a luxury to have really another coach out there on the floor.
This Georgia team, Missy, it definitely has a few more veterans, experienced players compared to the rotation Auburn's thrown out there this year. Fisher denied that time.
Really nice block help from Akasha Anderson. And you see what they're doing here is bunch blocking, bringing Akasha Anderson over to the middle because they're expecting balls to Sophie Fisher at this point. So they're gonna go with the odds. They're gonna bank on that and then release and chase that set to the right pin if necessary.
There you see nearly 2.5 blocks a set. Yeah, that one found the back row. So back-to-back for the Bulldogs.
Great setting choice by Clara Brower there of Georgia, because moments ago she goes to Sophie Fisher. Now they've got that defense in the middle of the court defending Fisher first. She goes quickly behind, and Akasha Anderson not quite able to get hands in front of Tori Fisher out there.
Harper, Fisher, Evans, Haugen. Again, it's a lot of weapons that Brower has to work with this year. Big swing by Anderson, dug out by Cox. Haugen finds the floor.
Bailey Cox with a really nice dig, a one-arm dig, and it's digs like that that allow you to use all your weapons, something that Georgia just happens to have when you combine, of course, Fisher and Evans with the other pin players.
There you go. That's why it just feels like, again, especially for Georgia, the high expectations are very understandable. Got 4 really reliable hitters. Who wants it? Yeah, that one just found the soft spot, so Auburn snaps the 3-0 Georgia run.
Great job there, though, by Swanson in the air, making the adjustment. The set a little low. You see her drop her elbow, but still nice placement, finding some open court.
So as this first set's unfolding, I mean, what do you think appears to be some of the bigger keys for both teams in this one today? Fisher looked like she missed long there.
Yeah, I think, so often it comes back to the serving and passing. And right now, we have not seen a lot of missed serves on either side of the net, and the passing lines are holding up. So this is a really nice pass, just a bit long from Sophie Fisher. But I think both teams have to be pretty happy with the way their passing is holding up, particularly Auburn with players out right now.
Auburn holding that 3-point first set lead. Looked like Fisher was indicating, hey, was this one touched or not?
Yeah, she was pretty quick to indicate that she felt like there was a touch. And these coaches really trust their players on the floor. They have that up front and personal view, and often they can hear the touch just as much as they can see it. And so those players react pretty quickly with their intuition as to what they think has happened.
All right, so this is a Georgia challenge. So again, you saw the initial ruling was no touch. Fisher was adamant immediately. By the way, our crew today, Brian Hemmelgren, David Dufresne are our first and second referees. Eugenia Baldwin, Christy Snellgrove are line officials today. So take a look.
We talked about passing. That's a nice one. That is a 3-option pass, giving Georgia every opportunity. And then there's a couple things to take a look at. Not only the block at the net, but even the backcourt defender. Did it touch the block at the net or the backcourt defender?
Good call. That one looked close as well.
No question the ball lands out of bounds. So we're looking at the 2 touches, 2 possible touches there. Obviously, this is the most common challenge, the touch, and it's also the hardest to determine.
Fisher with just that 1 kill and hoping for not perhaps another error. So we await. We always think when it starts to take this long, it may mean the officials are having a hard time of finding something to overturn it. And so there you go. Georgia, Megan Auburn awarded the point there.
Yeah. Sometimes just inconclusive evidence, and the call on the floor at that point has to stand. But I like the challenge by Coach Black, Tom Black there, because we're really early in this first set, and that first set can really set the tone for the match.
Great dig that time by the libero, Sarah Morton. Georgia may have something. Evans with a big swing. Free ball. Brower. Fisher. Dug out. Just long. Anderson's attempt. Boy, it was darting towards that back corner, but just missed long.
And you feel like she's definitely going for high hands as well. Flying in on a dig there is Morton, and then Barrett keeps that alive. Really nice effort.
Big swing and another kill for Kendall Kemp.
Kendall Kemp, the connection has not been perfect yet. And isn't it interesting, even in an imperfect connection, what an impact she can have on the match. Her size up there and the speed of the middle attack, just so difficult to defend.
Auburn is pretty tall along the net.
Very.
And Kendall Kemp, no exception. About 6'6" from Eagan, Minnesota. Boy, look at this high one to Evans. Anderson going back to work. Haugen was able to get that right fist on it. Free ball for the Tigers. Already up 3. Anderson registers another. Yeah, Anderson, by the way, 6'3". Yeah, there you go. Within the NCAA tournament.
And I really enjoyed our conversation with Coach Crouch of Auburn after that great season a year ago, where their theme was beginnings are messy.
Yes.
This year's theme was excellence is a habit.
Yep.
And so understanding, let's do it again. But I really love the fact that he pointed out doing it again doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the second round of the NCAA tournament. It means, hey, let's play good, put together good matches, and let's show some progress over the course of the season. That's really simplifying things for his players.
Excellence is a habit. He's quoting Aristotle.
That's
There's
right.
few coaches out there that quote Aristotle in regularity.
Unless you have a doctorate in philosophy.
Yeah, he's Dr. Crouch, which he does. He got that at Oregon a decade and a half ago. Well, that's a big dig. Auburn on the attack. Anderson with a bullet.
Nice secondary set there by Paige Thibault out of middle back, wearing 13 for Auburn. This is a player who's stepping into a defensive role. We mentioned the absence of some players for Auburn, plugging in very well, and that secondary setting becomes oh so important out of system. Thibault does a nice job with that ball. third kill now for Akasha Anderson, one of our stars coming in. Sophie Fisher of Georgia, only 1 kill to this point in the match.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up for Anderson, because Arkansas is such a difficult team. Auburn, in a lot of ways, they were overwhelmed by the Razorbacks a couple of nights ago. She had just the 1 kill. What has she done a little better today to start?
You know, I think taking what's given to her, not trying to create too much. Sometimes you have to be okay with extending a rally and trusting your defense. But I'll tell you what, I think it also just says a whole lot about Arkansas and the level that they are playing at right now. Incredible.
It's a very veteran team. A lot of folks in this league are going to have trouble with them. Yeah, that one hit off of the Georgia hand, so Auburn extends its lead back to 4. So a nice idea by Madison Shear.
We talked about that super sophomore class, their highest ranked recruiting class ever. And opposite of Akasha Anderson, you have Madison Shear at the other left pin. And that is what makes that class so dangerous. There is always a really competent attacker at the left pin in every rotation when you've got those two on the floor.
So many players back from that tournament team a year ago. You're right, a lot of them are sophomores. Evans, well, there's the whistle. Auburn awarded the point.
Double contact called there against Georgia on that second ball. Don't see it real often, but this year it has been a point of emphasis for the officials.
Five-point advantage, the largest of the early afternoon for the Tigers. Oh, there's a rip from Tori Harper. Look out.
Looking a lot like Sophie Fisher in the way that they like to use her down the middle of the court. Tori Harper has the length of Sophie Fisher, a similar player in that regard, and it gives her a great one-on-one opportunity when they run her down the middle with just that one block up.
Second year right side from Reno, more swings this year. She's doubled her kills per set average. Barrett, back set, Anderson, that one's a bit long, so Georgia is able to slice into the deficit a bit. Auburn has led by a few points or so, basically since the start.
This is a 2-hitter rotation for Auburn, meaning that their setter is in the front row. They have Madison Shear and Kyla Swanson up front. That third option is the backcourt, Akasha Anderson.
Big swing once again by Shear. There's another.
Shear showing off her range here as she just drills one down the line. This ball is really well placed by Madison Shear.
Another one of those sophomores. Well, Brent Crouch is just very encouraged. They're more mature in a sense in practice and preparation. And big swing that time.
Talk about
CC Gooch.
And we just talk about the youth of Auburn. Well, that play right there put an emphasis on the youth of Georgia. Estelle Haugen, as a sophomore, coaches said, is by far their most improved player. Very limited playing time a season ago, and now handling 6 rotations, just made a beautiful pass. And CC Gooch, the freshman, in for Georgia, finishes it off.
Point Georgia.
And what happens there is Jackie Barrett, coming out of the back row as a setter, is attempting to make a play on second contact here and push it back to one of her players. But off of her contact, it travels over the net, is blocked by Haugen, and so she becomes a back row attacker. Even though that was not her intention, that is the call, and that is the correct call.
So it's a 2-point set. We're playing to 25. You've got to win by 2. Best 3 out of 5 today. Haugen with the high rise. Looked like she hit the net. Auburn point.
Slight miscontact, but as you mentioned, it was a great display of her athleticism, how high up she is off the floor right here in front of us. We had a good look at it.
Well, just that high leverage. You hear a lot of the coaches talk about how quick you want the set to contact to be. With Haugen, she's just got a little higher leverage to get up there. Anderson got a gift and buried it.
Set up by a nice serve by Thibault, who we mentioned earlier, getting some extended experience as a new piece to their defensive line, getting it done from the service line as well. Whole thing, and she is off to yet another tremendous start.
What is the key when you take that leap from year 1 to year 2 as the center point and the focal point?
I think learning how to learn. It's something that Brent Crouch talked to us about. You know, you can't just depend on your athleticism in that sophomore season, night in and night out, but learning to understand a defense, learning how to create kills in out-of-system situations, and it becomes the minutia of the game.
Auburn ahead by 3. Just long.
Oh, there's going to be a touch call on this one. Yeah, the ball was very fast to the left side. You saw Latasha Anderson with a snap of the wrist as she's trying to get just enough topspin on that one to keep it in. And whether it's in or out, there's a touch call on that. So point to Auburn.
Big serve here from Sarah Morton, just playing through a shoulder, bit of shoulder discomfort. Anderson, that one's dug out. Nice work by Mallory Downing. Evans trying to paint the line, got it.
Big rip out of the back row by Evans, and that allows them 3 attackers, even in that rotation where the setter is in the front row. Great block help from Akasha Anderson coming from left front, but Casey Anderson with just a nasty cut.
That is a precision kill. So Haugen to serve it away. Whistle. Looked like a net violation.
Down official indicates that that is Casey Evans, 23 in black, that got a little piece of the net there.
So some of these errors are bedeviling Georgia early.
Great work there. You saw it was actually on the way down.
Auburn's 3 away from taking the first set. Brower to Evans. That's the heat.
That's the heat and that's the speed, because what that speed does from setter to antenna is creates, again, the seam for Casey Evans. Kendall Kemp in the middle is trying to make a read based on the pass. And so when that pass is perfect, the read becomes much harder because Clara Brower has a lot of options in that instance.
Evans now a 2-time all-conference selection. Great swing that time by Zimmerman, but Georgia's awarded the point.
Just wide, it looked like, by Belle Zimmerman. And an interesting choice here by Casey Evans. She decides to stay down. Doesn't jump on the block, so no block up. Belle Zimmerman with a wide open net.
Timeout on the floor. Officials timeout for a coach's challenge.
Yeah, Brent Crouch, he looked like he walked down to our referee on the sideline there pretty quickly and handed him the challenge card. Boy, call me crazy on that replay. That almost looked like it might have caught the line. It's just got to get a portion of the white in this instance.
Yeah. You see Belle Zimmerman there landing up near the net, but realize this is a back row attack. It's a really elite attack coming out of the backcourt. She has to take off from behind the 3-meter line. She can land anywhere, but both feet have to be behind that, and she is just about an inch behind. It's a beautiful set there from Jackie Barrett. She flies in and goes after it.
Zimmerman, of course, going to get a few more swings today, as we mentioned, with Bella Bell out. And our officials, a replay official as well, they sometimes have a few more angles. Even one of those, it looked like a Georgia player was blocking, whether or not you could see where it was starting to touch.
And they will certainly take a look at the in-out touch, all of those things.
Yes. Everything assessed once you go to the monitor. Right now, as it stands, Georgia by 2. Again, late in this first set. These two played twice last year in this building. Both were compelling games. Auburn won them both. They won in 4 sets. They won in 5 sets the following day, and most of those sets were very close. They had some wild swings and runs. So this is no surprise to see these two battling again.
These two coaches know each other quite well.
Yeah.
As you get a look at them side by side there, they were at LMU and at Portland. Coach Black LMU, Coach Crouch at Coach Portland in the same conference before Coach Black came to the SEC, and Coach Crouch followed him to the SEC, and they said they had many conversations. Coach Crouch called Tom Black prior to accepting the job at Auburn, talked about that move across the country in terms of not just volleyball, but family and lifestyle and what that would look like, and so these two coaches very familiar with one another.
Spent a lot of time, of course, on the West Coast. Crouch coming over from Southern Cal previously, where he took the Trojans to back-to-back tournaments. Evans with a chance. Say goodbye. That one winds up halfway up the section behind the scorer's table. So it's a 1-point set. Crouch calling the timeout.
Look at this rip from Casey Evans. We said coming in
for Evans this afternoon.
Yeah, Georgia right here in the first set, and realistically, they have not really gotten Sophie Fisher going. So this has sort of been Casey Evans coming through.
Evans way above her kills per set average. 1-point set. Haugen on the floor to save it. What's Evans have? Oh, that's excellent work by Morton. Keeps the rally alive. Georgia 1 away from tying things up. That was a touch. 22 up.
We talked about how versatile Sophie Fisher is. How about the dig by the middle blocker in a must-have point here? Early in the rally, though, it's Estelle Haugen. And then the big rip from Casey Evans. A couple big swings from Casey Evans. It was the touch ball that finally finishes it off.
Defense fueling this rally. Anderson, boy, with that swing, just ate up Fisher.
Really smart swing there by Akasha Anderson, because realize she has a small setter in the front row that opens the lineup for her, and Sophie Fisher playing defense down the line, a middle blocker who doesn't typically defend in the backcourt. They do leave her in, though, here in this serve receive to give them an offensive option. So we'll see if they go to Sophie Fisher out of the back row here.
Missy Auburn led by as many as 5. 1-point set. First one always so crucial. There's Shear. Got it. Auburn's 1 away.
No surprise, Georgia going to Casey Evans. Hats off to Morton, the libero on the floor for Auburn right now. Some big-time digs out of left back.
That's now 6 digs in this set for Sarah Morton, the sophomore from Munster, Indiana, playing with a bum right shoulder. Anderson serves it, though, into the net, so Georgia with some life.
Performance in the final 5 points of the set, I really think has been an emphasis for both of these teams in order to pull out some tight victories. So this is an area where they really have put some focus.
We'll see a couple of SEC losses for both. Both of those for Georgia. 5 setters. Shear. Got it! Precision kill in the back row. And Auburn takes the first set. Madison Shear finishes with 4 kills, and the most timely one to put the Tigers ahead.
Really nice balanced effort by Auburn as they come out and take the early lead against Georgia on their home court, looking to turn things around. It's quite nicely if your team is hitting for 400.
One of the main focuses that Brent Crouch outlined to us a few days ago on the heels of that Arkansas loss was, hey, we've got to be able to handle the serves a little better than we did in Fayetteville. We've got to be able to pass better. And we have seen just that. Boy, it does feel like anytime a team goes up against Arkansas this year, it might feel like a unfair fight. They're so veteran. However, okay, here's an ace to start the second set.
As soon as I say that no one had been aced, I spoke too soon. So a great serve there from Anna Julia Bleeker. But to your point, Kevin, at Arkansas, Auburn served 10 balls out of bounds and was aced 10 times.
Yeah.
That's a 20-point swing in regard to the serve pass game. And you just can't give away that many points.
It's too much. It's a very talented Arkansas team that Auburn faced. You know, it's its 3rd match in 5 games. Brent Crouch said, look, was it fatigue? Was it the environment? Could be a little bit of everything. So they do have a few more days off ahead of this one.
Yeah.
Flip side, Georgia, second game in 3 days.
Yeah, I like the fact that he said, hey, it's probably 20 different reasons, and it could be different for each player. But he said, we're about personal accountability. So we're not pointing the fingers. What do I need to do to be ready to play in the next match? And, you know, it's just a really positive response to a not very positive match for Auburn.
It does feel like that's likely the outlier for Auburn this year, no?
Yes, I think it will be for sure. But honestly, Arkansas has had their number. That is 9 sets in a row that they've dropped to Arkansas. I think it has a lot to do with the youth of Auburn versus perhaps one of the most mature teams in the country in Arkansas.
Arkansas roster of 22, 23-year-olds. They're all seniors, 5th-year seniors.
Yeah. This could be their year, really, for Arkansas.
It's a 2-2 start to begin set 2.
And I talked about how well the serve pass game went for both of these teams in set 1, and now a couple misses and aces here in set 2.
No such thing as a jinx.
No,
They do not exist. Here are those aforementioned hogs. There they are. Brent Crouch goes, I don't know if that 14 number is quite accurate.
Definitely felt like they should be ranked higher than that, and we'll see if they can move up this next week, Arkansas.
How about that hammer that time from Kendall Kemp? Again, from 6'6", high levered spot there, and she hammers it down.
Coach Black looking to his bench and questioning, did that ball from Kemp hit the antenna, which would be out of bounds? But it looks as though his bench has told him, no, don't challenge that. It was definitely a winner by Kendall Kemp.
Fisher, or make it Haugen that time with the kill. Oh, that was Fisher.
It was Fisher, yeah, both running behind. Obviously, Haugen capable of attacking out of the back court. But the good news for Georgia, and I would say obviously a point of emphasis for them, is to get Sophie Fisher going early here in set 2. They need a little more from her.
She had the 6 swings in that first set and just the 2 kills. Now, she's just spurred Georgia to back-to-back points here.
And this is why she's such a dangerous point scorer. It's not just the offense and the fact that they're throwing high balls up in the middle of the court to her in out-of-system situations, but she scores points with her blocking, and she scores points from the service line as well.
Undoubtedly her breakout career year. Sheer, she's been effective early in that first set. Auburn's got the free ball. Up high, back to Sheer. A tremendous dig that time by the Bulldogs. Point Auburn.
Really difficult situation there for Casey Evans. That ball is high, dying inside. 2 blockers waiting on her. Really all she can try to do there is go high off hands.
So Chelsea Harmon comes in to serve. Second year on the Plains, the senior from Washington. Spent a couple years at Portland. And it's an ace.
This is a player who has spent a lot of time in the middle for them. Very capable in the middle. They've used all 3 this year based on who's available. But doing such a nice job serving that they're using her as a serving specialist today.
So that's now 9 aces on the year. They're both quality serving teams. Of the 2, Georgia, a little better numbers. So if Auburn can pick up some points here from the service line, boy, that would benefit the Tigers. So does that point. 1-point advantage.
2 quick points, and it's all because of the serving of Chelsea Harmon. Nice timing here by Madison Shear. She waits, then she pushes. It's always that player who makes second contact that wins the joust.
2.5 blocks a set. That's 5th best in the SEC. Brower, Fisher coming in, but just missed wide.
And you see just how dynamic of an attacker she is, but we've seen some misses so far today. Just a little wide, a little long.
In the 5-setter a couple of nights ago, 18 kills. And you mentioned it, that was on the heels of a pretty good opener against Florida last week where she registered 20. It's also the blocking, had 9 in that match. Evans misfires that time, so Auburn extends the lead. It has been able to gain control of both of these first 2 sets early.
Well, we go back to those hitting efficiencies from set 1, which meant the passing lineup had held up really well. Not been the case so far here in set 2. Georgia has been out of system regularly here in serve receive.
And so that's 4 attack errors for the Bulldogs in this second set. They only had 4 in the first. Evans bounces right back.
And this is just banging it through the block. You know, it really looks like an impossible situation for Casey Evans, but there are few impossible situations if you're Casey Evans, because big hands up, they do catch Kyla Swanson leaning, and that is because of the speed of that outside set, just how impossible it is to get there and close.
It's such a luxury Tom Black has, because he has a lot of trust in both Evans and Fisher. Zimmerman with nice work to keep it alive, but Georgia on the attack now had the upper hand, and Evans with back-to-back bullets.
The tempo of this set to the outside. Look at the fast push from Clara Brower. And you saw there, Kyla Swanson thought about moving to her left. So great deception on the part of Clara Brower to hold the middle blocker. If you even think about moving to your left, you're going to be too late to your right. That's how hard it is as a middle blocker to make up time.
Hey, Zimmerman there with the defense after that serve. Clipped the net, kept it up, and helped her team pull back ahead by 2.
I'm really impressed with the disciplined swings we're getting from Madison Shear. Just how regularly, look at this, to play this up, and not just up, but right to her setter. And then it's Madison Shear with really nice high contact on the regular and swinging for the deep corners.
Shear's been very effective. Tori Harper comes flying in for her second kill, making her third.
And Kevin, 2 of them have been right down the middle on that particular attack in serve receive. So certainly a trend that we're seeing from Georgia. Tori Harper is a player who Coach Black said, we who are part of the program see on a regular basis how dynamic she is in our practice gym. And she's having some success in practice that we all want to see translate to the matches because they just know how good she can be.
It's a great weapon stashed behind Fisher and Evans. Haugen, Anderson digs it out. Now Zimmerman. Point Auburn. That one does touch a Bulldog at the net.
You saw the immediate pump fist from Zimmerman. She knew exactly what she was doing there. Sometimes these misses look like huge misses, but understand that the players are purposefully swinging for those fingers on those high balls.
Again, we're seeing more Zimmerman, especially offensively, because Auburn is without Bella Bell, who's back in a boot, suffered an ankle injury early in that loss to Arkansas Wednesday. That's a starter they're down. Georgia down 2. Harper wants it again. Tigers improvising. Here's Anderson. Oh, the pancake from Evans. And Haugen finishes the job.
Haugen's a difficult player to defend because of her hang time. She is up in the air early, and a block jumps with her, but then it takes a second for her arm to come through. Look at the pickup, the pancake. Casey Evans, I've seen her do this in back-to-back matches. Realistically, Casey Evans is not the player who should be making the play on that ball, coming from middle back, and I saw her do it against Kentucky on Friday night and again today. Just complete effort on her part to be the one to be there and pick that ball up.
Yeah, it's a 5th-year senior making a veteran play. Although the Bulldogs give it right back to Auburn, so they'll side out with the 2-point advantage in set number 2.
For Georgia, it's now 5 service errors to 2 aces. Not a terrible ratio, but a number that they don't want to get inflated anymore. They want to keep those errors under control.
Brower had to travel a long way to set that one to Haugen. Anderson, a big rip. Looked like the net started, the net started bouncing.
Yep, you saw it. You're exactly right. Tori Harper getting a little piece of that net. It seems like such a frustrating error, but realize how hard these blockers are trying to just get a piece of that ball and slow it down. It's going to draw you into the net at times.
So Georgia takes a timeout, down 3. It's down a set. It's been behind for much of this one early on the Plains.
People are just demanding to see this sport.
I think it's got all these coaches thinking, you know, what can we do moving forward to just keep raising the bar, if you will, for the sport. I mean, I will say I hadn't listened to Sirius in a while, but watching that Nebraska clip, boy, that the Alan Parsons project there coming out of the tunnel walk, that was certainly a pretty cool moment, I would think, for all those players involved there.
Oh yeah, just really an incredible opportunity, and it was pulled off beautifully. The resources that were put into it is what the sport deserves.
Yeah, a lot of planning. Many months went into that. Auburn caught out of position, and Georgia has it back to a 2-point set.
Georgia scrapping their way through this second set when things have not come real easily, but realize this is a Georgia team that is no stranger to long matches. If you are just joining us, this is a team coming off back-to-back 5-set heartbreaking losses to the 2 perennial powers in the Southeastern Conference, Florida and Kentucky.
Basically a 36-hour turnaround. One of those 2 5-setters Friday night. Georgia back within 1 after the error.
For Auburn, it's really important to find the correct rhythm for Akasha Anderson, because obviously the speed to the pin can make you successful, but with the height of Akasha Anderson and the big reach, they can also cause her to err if they go too fast. So that right there, to me, is a really good set to Akasha Anderson. There's some tempo to that ball, but she can still go up and high point it. And that's sort of the fine line that you have to walk when you're going for a fast offense to the left pin.
So now it's 9 kills. You know, that's a great point. I mean, her height, the leverage she has, how does that play into the relationship then with the setter? Yeah,
absolutely, because, I mean, these coaches, it's very fine-tuned. They're talking 0.88 seconds from setter to hitter.
Yes.
You know, and Coach Crouch telling us at Arkansas, they can go as fast as 0.82 from what he has timed. He said, for us, that would actually begin to cause errors. We don't want to go quite that fast because of the physicality of our players. So it's going to be different for each team finding that golden spot.
By the way, we've got a challenge here from Georgia. So the whistle came very quick, by the way, signaling that this one hit the floor. What, at best, maybe a finger and the floor. It does look like it got a little bit of the floor.
I've mentioned the heroics of Casey Evans earlier. I don't think she gets to this one. She's done her part already today, but if anybody gets to it, it would be Cox, and I'm just not sure that there's going to be enough there to overturn it.
Almost freeze it.
Well, I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe I speak too soon. Wow, this is about as close as they come.
You could see there just the flick of the finger to try to pop it back up. Cox was everywhere, by the way, a couple of nights ago against Kentucky.
Her numbers have really impressed me in the last couple matches, the number of balls that she's playing up in the backcourt. Realize if this ball if the call is reversed, it would actually be a replay, not a point, because they have blown the ball dead and the point didn't continue, and that's what we're going to get. Double thumbs up. Replay.
How about the reaction from Bailey Cox, the junior from Newcastle, Indiana?
She's like, that's right, you better credit me that dig.
Yeah, she's probably the most effervescent one on the floor for Georgia.
Great energy, plays with really great energy.
Yeah, assumes that role. She's been as reliable as it gets. She's played in 72 of Georgia's last 73 matches. Bulldogs, though, give it right back with the service error. So that plays to your point, that's now 6. In 2 sets. A bit too high, I think, for a lot of coaches.
Yeah, it's based on that ace to error ratio for many coaches. They'd like to be at about a 1-1. However, you'll talk to coaches, and there are moments in the match, those last 5 points, or say after a challenge like we just had. That feels like a ball that needs to be in bounds. Georgia answers, though, with a quick side out here.
And that's Sophie Fisher with the latest kill for Georgia, so she goes back to serve. The senior from Fort Mill, South Carolina, first 2 years at Kentucky. She won a national championship. She only registered 37 kills. She basically does that in a game and a half now in Georgia.
Interestingly, was recruited to play at the pin for Kentucky. And when she made the switch to Georgia, they went after her as a middle and were selling her on the fact that they could use her in really unique ways out of the middle, which they have. And I would say it's worked quite well, because when you take a look at middle blockers across the country, Sophie Fisher leading them all in point production.
Highest scoring middle in the nation. So apropos, it's Sunday. Put it this way, if there was fantasy volleyball, she's the Justin Jefferson of middles.
Yes, that's a great analogy.
Shear, she's been effective at times early for Auburn. Evans didn't quite get enough liftoff maybe that time, so Auburn back ahead by 1.
By the nature of the game, a player like Casey Evans or Akasha Anderson, they're asked to clean up a lot of junk. The out-of-system balls, when the ball's off the net, they're going to take a lot of swings in difficult situations, such as that one from Casey Evans. And, I like the fact that she goes aggressive there.
Evans has taken 18 swings. That's by far the most. Haugen and Fisher behind her. And interestingly enough, just 10 swings so far for Fisher, but she can ignite at any time, maybe right now. Oh, big rip. Shear with a sledgehammer that time.
Talking about finding the perfect window of opportunity. I think Jackie Barrett just showed us what it looks like for Madison Shear. Perfect tempo to the left pin. Allows her a huge open window of opportunity. No block closed for Georgia, and yet the ball is high enough for her to go up and take a full swing at it.
There you go. She's taken 12 swings, not a single error yet. So this is efficient volleyball for Shear. Georgia gets one back.
Good push by Casey Evans. Just so smart, so aware of where the defenders are and how to just catch them out of system.
And so this second set, a little tighter than the first. Auburn at one point, remember, had a 5-point advantage in set one. Georgia came all the way back, tied it. Ultimately, the Tigers got to the finish line first. This one, though, playing a little closer.
In that first set, it felt a lot like this, back and forth, and finally it was Chelsea Harmon who went to the service line for Auburn and scored a string of points. That is how, at the elite level with two teams like this, that's how the game of volleyball works. You just got to stay with them, back and forth, side out, and sometimes it's just one string of points that's going to put you over the hump.
Harper got another.
That is her third kill in serve receive down the middle, and that time Clara Brower drifting in the left front, but guess what? That's okay. Still finds her behind and totally fakes out Auburn, who had pretty much bit on the fact that they expected the ball to left front with an out-of-system pass like that.
You've got two teams. They've got a couple of conference losses, but they are undoubtedly poised to finish in the top half of this league. You would certainly expect. Anderson, nice dig. Now Zimmerman tries to push it, and it works.
It's been a revolving door between Bella Bell and Belle Zimmerman. They're playing in that right side position for Auburn based on availability and injury and whatnot. And wow, it's just really showing off the depth of this team right now.
Well, Zimmerman's showing off that she is ready at all times. You know, the last 3 matches, she had taken just 5 swings. Again, she's now been asked to take on more of an offensive role with Bell out. Georgia punches right back.
And that's why I am a big fan. If the pass is there, set the middle as much as possible. As far as I'm concerned, when you get the ball to the middle, good things happen.
Yeah, there's the Kentucky transfer, the aforementioned Bella Bell.
We mentioned the fact that Sophie Fisher had been at Kentucky playing on the pin, recruited to play in the middle for Georgia, and then Bella Bell had been at Kentucky playing in the middle and has made the move to the pin for Auburn.
Oh, here's a free one for Fisher. Just dunks it.
Yeah.
And we're knotted up, 18 up, pushing deeper into the second set.
Brent Crouch told us, hey, I'm all about just getting the best players we can possibly get out of the portal, and we'll deal with positions later. And I think that's a great philosophy, you know, because so many of those middles and right sides are able to make that jump back and forth.
There's Fisher again. Big wind-up.
There you see it, and Auburn prepared for it. Akasha Anderson there to try and help to block up against this, and Sophie Fisher with the big rip just blasts one through the seam.
So now it's 5 kills for Sophie Fisher. The role and has done everything she has needed to, and so, hey, maybe the comparison not that far off. You saw, we showed it to you a moment ago. Back in June, she was invited to train with the collegiate national team out in Anaheim. They were competing with the national team that Tom Black was an assistant on all those years ago. So maybe he's got something here with Sophie Fisher. I mean, this has been her breakout career year, undoubtedly.
Yes.
Do we have a
little
we got a blown tire?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do this
for Clara Brower, but she's taking care of business.
So all the anticipation there, and Anna Julia Bleeker serves that one into the net. She's a pretty good serving specialist.
Yeah.
Misfires that time.
And we talk about the missed serves and how there are errors that coaches are willing to accept, and then errors that are a little harder. And that one a little harder, I think, for Coach Black after the delay in play there. You just want to put that one in bounds.
You know, we don't want to belabor it. You've referenced it, though. Only 2 aces for Georgia compared to 8 service errors. Anderson denied that time. It's the combo block of Fisher and Harper.
And that perhaps the deadliest block on the Georgia front line when you've got Fisher alongside Harper, the length of those two. What a great job turning this one back in. It's not just getting your hands up high, but the penetration over the net. You have to turn that outside hand back into the court so as not to be used.
First lead for Georgia in either set.
Wow.
Auburn took the first 25-23. Very tight one. Again in set two. There's the response. Kemp.
Jackie Barrett at 6'2" does a really nice job setting her middles. She herself has a really high contact point. Some setters are much smaller than that. Jackie Barrett high up above the net can quickly feed that ball to Kendall Kemp.
Zimmerman with a dart. Brower, Haugen, Zimmerman on the floor again. Anderson got it.
Belle Zimmerman deep in the court, really dug in defensively, and then you see the tip from Haugen. And that was outstanding effort on the part of Belle Zimmerman to make a play on that pickup there.
That one floats too far, and so we're knotted up at 21 again. First to 25, set two.
As we've mentioned, it's those last 5 points of a set where these teams feel like they really need to improve their play. Can't afford to error yourself out of the last 5 points. Both of these teams, 5-set losses to Florida already this season, and this is where they feel like they can get better in those last 5 points of a set.
Fisher a bit off balance that time on the swing. Anderson, that one winds up though, wide of the line. Auburn leads.
Sophie Fisher there on the block, but we talked moments ago about not only getting the hands up, but over and turning them back in bounds. That time, Akashi Anderson really just does a nice job playing dodgeball there to get out of the way of that one coming off the block.
Timeout, Georgia. So the Dogs are out of timeouts in this second set, trailing by 1 in a very familiar spot as it was in set 1. Our next feature
on here at Auburn cannot be overstated as far as I'm concerned. This is a team who did not play in the spring of the COVID year, didn't have enough healthy players.
Yeah.
Based on injuries and players who had left the program. And Coach Crouch said the players who did stick around bought into something that they knew they would not see the fruits of their labor. And wow, I mean, he's very indebted to those players. And then he's able to recruit a top recruiting class in this year's sophomores and really turn things around, but he deserves so much credit.
Yeah, Shear, one of the headliners of that 22 class. He's got all these sophomores. They just keep growing and maturing. 2 points away. Boy, great numbers for the sophomore from Eureka, Missouri. Anderson's error, though, leaves the door open for Georgia late in set 2.
I think his turnaround is such a perfect combination of recruiting and portal use, because he has some really talented young players that is going to be the base of his program. And yet this year we've seen the addition of Kyla Swanson and Bella Bell, who've really allowed them to improve offensively. So the way he's gone about this turnaround, I think, is just really beautiful.
Shear hammers it down again.
Madison Shear is still perfect on the day in terms of hitting errors. That is a big 0 for Shear. 8 kills without an error on 14 swings. The discipline from the left side, impressive.
Set point. Harmon serves it away. That's a good one. Brower had to get low for it. Pancake! That was Harmon. Georgia needs something. Oh, is there enough space into the first row? And Fisher's big rip keeps this one going.
Getting the most out of Fisher before she exits in the back row. But are you kidding me? Middle blocker. Chelsea Harmon comes diving in, showing off her defensive prowess.
Having to readjust, slide that right hand out at the last second. Still set point. So who wants to take the big one for the Tigers? Shear blocked. Back to Shear. Auburn leads it 2-0 at home, a set away.
Things because this Georgia block is no joke. You got Sophie Fisher, you got Tori Harper at the right side. You got some hands to deal with, and Madison Shear making it look pretty easy.
One of those many returning starters, second on the team in kills per set behind Anderson. Sophomore from Eureka, Missouri, grew up about 30 miles outside of St. Louis. Who are bigger Cardinals fans, her or the Whittemores? I don't know. As a point for Georgia to start this one, and that's big. If you're the Bulldogs, you've just got to get off on good footing here, down 2-0.
Yeah, when you see the level of volleyball that Georgia is playing, this is a team who's already knocked off a top 10 opponent this season at Georgia Tech on the road, and then to have gone 5 sets with both Florida and Kentucky really speaks to the conference right now and how good volleyball is in the Southeastern Conference.
You saw that expression on Tom Black's face. It's almost eerie. They have played in a surplus already in 3 matches of those 25-23 variety sets, just so close. They're right there.
Yes.
They've never been overmatched in any of their sets to start SEC play. And let's remind you, 3 straight ranked opponents that Georgia faces to start league play.
I was really, curious to see how did Auburn respond to what we said was a very uncharacteristic match at Arkansas, where they were swept quickly in 3 sets. Just couldn't get anything going. A lot of youth, a quick turnaround time to today. What would their response be? And Coach Crouch, who we mentioned earlier, has a doctorate in philosophy, and by the way, did his dissertation on communities, told us that it wasn't until later that he realized I was really just studying teams and culture. Yes. That's what a team is, a community. And so whatever they did after that Arkansas match to flush it, as you might want to say, seems to have worked out quite well.
Yeah, I wasn't quite familiar with the turn of the 20th century pragmatist and ideal philosopher Josiah Royce. That was the topic, or the philosopher, that was the topic of his dissertation.
Yeah, hard to believe us journalists didn't have a lot of knowledge of Josiah Royce.
Yeah, we didn't write too many of those papers. Auburn, another point.
And I have to say, Auburn doing this without some pieces. They've had people in and out of the lineup. And so I'm just really impressed with what they've been able to accomplish.
Well, their biggest win in the non-conference was at Florida State. That's a good one on the road. Georgia's going to get this one after the service error. The lone SEC win against Ole Miss a week ago, it has a 5-set loss to Florida. The Gators are doling out these 5-set losses left and right. And then the sweep at the hands of Arkansas a few days ago. So they've got a couple of quality wins. And yeah, for the young Tigers, still a lot of sophomores attempting to build off of the NCAA tournament success a year ago.
Big block here by freshman Gooch over on the right side with her smaller setter, Clara Browers. She's asked to really help over there. Clara Brower's got some ups, don't get me wrong, but Gooch does a really nice job. And this is because when you're able to go ahead and release early, knowing where the set is going, all of a sudden the block has a much bigger advantage.
Anderson with another kill.
And that time taking advantage of the smaller setter up front. Last time Gooch got the best of her. That time she turns it down the line, able to get a ricochet off those hands of Clara Brower.
She's taken 31 swings, 11 kills for the all-conference centerpiece. Aiming to take a step forward from a season ago. She's already displayed that.
Sophie Fisher, not much of an approach there. That ball is well behind the 3-meter line. And so what she's trying to do there is just move it around the block. You saw her swinging for that deep right back corner, but doesn't clear the net.
Let's remind you that 2 days ago, Georgia dropped the first 2 sets to Kentucky, won the next 2. This was the set Fisher really got going against the Wildcats a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I do not expect these Georgia Bulldogs to go away quietly by any means.
Barrett Cross-court set, back to Shear. That one handled by the Bulldogs. Evans rises, the takeoff, terminates it.
And if you wonder how high above the net this game is played, I think Kendall Kemp actually took that one to the head, literally. I mean, you see that on the regular. If you haven't been in person at some of these matches, this game is played so high above the net now at this level. Just such athleticism on display.
Boy, tough player off the right cheek. Anderson sprawls out to keep it alive. Georgia, though, chance to respond. And it's, CeCe Gooch, the freshman.
Yeah, it was an errant pass from Auburn that put Georgia in control of that point. Forced to a free ball over the net, and then you got 3 options on your Georgia attack there. And that is why serving is at a premium. Because when you can serve tough balls and get teams out of system, that's what you create. And so I know fans can get frustrated with the misses. You know, like, oh, just put the ball in play. But this game is played at such a high level in terms of side-out offense that you've got to serve tough from the service line. Obviously, you have to balance that, but you have to be willing to go back and serve tough.
Well, that's a strength of this Georgia team. If anything, they're probably a little better overall serving team compared to Auburn. 8-6 lead for the visitors. We've had some struggles in this building and against Auburn in recent years. Shear changes it up. There's a net violation.
Yeah, the tip, and you know those blockers on their way down, reaching for maybe just a piece of that, and instead they get a piece of the net.
Boy, this has been a great first week. Yeah, basically outside of, you can throw away the Arkansas match for a lot of these Tigers, but it's been a first good week and a half. A good first, week for Madison Shear. Auburn ties it up at 8.
The error there, but I think Mallory Downing had to play that ball. I think that ball is going to land in, and that is, you know, one of the challenges of passing pretty short in the court. And you see these Georgia players, where they stand in the court, there's a good bit of court behind them. So if you stand a little deeper, you can pretty much count on any ball passing you up at the shoulder being out of bounds. But these Georgia passers pretty shallow in the court, so they have to make some decisions on those deep balls, really challenging Auburn to go for that back line.
And so now that's 2 kills for Harmon.
Yeah, guess who is at the service line again?
Service aces,
yeah.
Pardon me.
Guess who's back there? We mentioned the fact that it was in set 1 that Auburn was able to pull away behind the serving of Chelsea Harmon.
A pair of 25-23 wins. Oh, yeah, the sneak attack by Clara Brower. She only has 9 kills on the year. That time, just that's great peripheral vision to make it happen.
You'll see the blockers calling out when Clara Brower is in the front row because she has the ability to attack above the net. But oftentimes blockers lose track of that setter when she's in the back row, and that can be the perfect time to sneak one over.
That's the equivalent of a no-look pass. That was very deceptive. Barrett up high to Shear. Oh, wow. Just the ricochet was able to keep it alive off her arm. Brower back set to Harper. And they strike again with the off speed.
And it looked like we were going to see Madison Shear's first attack error in the match there in this third set, but instead she covers herself. So point doesn't go their way, but Madison Shear with the cover continues to be perfect without an error so far today.
Coming in, it would have been surprising if one of these teams won 3-0 today. So no surprise whatsoever to see Georgia with a whole bunch of life early in this third set.
What you see here from Auburn is they're trying to split the block, to go from antenna to antenna. So they have their middle blocker, Swanson, line up on the right side. It actually works to some extent because Georgia is not able to close, but credit is still Haugen for reaching in and taking away the angle there.
Barrett has to improvise. Boy, another savvy shot that time by Shear. Evans, that's the heat as again.
Yes, the friendly roll for Casey Evans. I tell you, it's friendly for a reason though, because when you hit the ball as hard as...
With our friends Paul Sunderland, Jennifer Hoffman have that one. So what do we have, 8 or 9? We've got 8 matches across the nation on our airwaves today. Plenty on ACC Network, SEC Network, ESPNU, and right here on the big one. There's Baylor and Iowa State coming up next.
Get your popcorn out. Talk about an ACC battle coming up.
Oh.
Pitt, Louisville. Circle that one, folks. You don't want to miss that.
Yeah, Friday nighter. Those two have been in the national semifinals each of the last 2 years. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks for Georgia, South Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. And BYU, you see down there, will have Texas Tech. They just dropped 2 in a row to Texas, which feels like it could be the determiner of the Big 12 battle for this season.
Haugen just, for the love of elevation that time on the kill.
Tell you what, there is something about set 3 and the Georgia Bulldogs. Coach Tom Black told us in set 3, in their most recent battle against Kentucky, this team finds life late in the match. Against Kentucky, going into that 3rd set, he said, hey, we've got to make a choice competitively here. He said, this is a tough conference. It's going to be a pressure cooker day in and day out. We can either run away from it or we can embrace it. He said, we've got to figure out how to get comfy because they are going through the gauntlet. The Florida, Kentucky, Auburn gauntlet, back-to-back-to-back ranked teams. And Georgia battling here in this 3rd set.
Well, and they will see Auburn and Kentucky once more, so they'll play both of those teams twice this season. Harper, that one's handled. Anderson with a little English on that. Brower's going back to Estelle Haugen. Evans has a chance. Rally continues. Battle at the net. Swanson was able to regather. Anderson, off the tip. Tigers point. They win the long one.
Such a smart swing there on the left side from Akasha Anderson. She doesn't have a huge approach in this long rally, but just goes really high and disciplined swing down the line. You know, Coach Crouch said when we were talking to him, to really put volleyball into simple terms, who can make better contacts over and over and over again? And that rally was a great example of that. Things could get sloppy, and your job as a player in those long rallies, better the ball, make the next contact easier, you know, for your teammate, and that's exactly what Auburn did there.
Well, we keep talking about the youth of Auburn, but one player we haven't necessarily spotlighted too much today is their senior setter, Jackie Barrett, ultra reliable 4-year starter. She started 74 of the last 76 for Auburn, so a steady force in the middle. Fisher finds the weak spot right in the middle, so Georgia extends its lead. It's the largest of any set for the Bulldogs today.
You're so right to your point about Barrett, though. You know, to have a team this young who can make them better in difficult situations, well, it's their setter. And so, wow, what a luxury for them to have a more experienced setter, someone who's really been with this program as it's risen.
Barrett goes right back to Anderson, so rise and fire again. That's Thibault, kept it alive. Georgia, this time, Reed checks the Zimmerman shot.
She decides to reverse course here, and I think Sophie Fisher is kind of counting on it. You saw her pointing that direction. She had a feeling. And boy, you almost have to know with the speed of the offense where it's going. You have to be able to read based on the pass, and that's exactly what Sophie Fisher did there.
We talked about how she's the highest scoring middle in the country. She's also top 50 in the nation in blocks. Let's see if she can get her hand on it there. Anderson misfires long that time. 17-11. The Bulldogs with their largest lead of any set. Timeout on the heels of a 5-0 run.
And that final point there looks like an outlet.
Tom Black and his Bulldogs going toe-to-toe with Brent Crouch's Tigers. The two coaches, they certainly have a history together. Work camps together back in the day on the West Coast. And they've been in the same conference now the last few years.
They even mirror one another the way they stand on the sideline and coach their teams. It's incredible. It's fun to watch.
Anderson, high rise. That one slides down the net on Georgia's side. Back to a 5-point set.
There they are. The masterminds of two very up-and-coming programs, not just in this conference, but across the nation.
SEC Coach of the Year on the left. Boy, Crouch certainly made a case for that award as well a season ago, leading Auburn to the tournament. Nice back set from Brower. Dug out nicely by Barrett. Anderson with a laser. A lot of work done by Mallory Downing this rally. Anderson asking for a touch. However, it's ruled Georgia point.
And you said it, Kevin. Mallory Downing putting in some miles here. The one arm saved to keep it in play, and then she's right back up in that rally.
Downing now with 7 digs. 35 as a team for Georgia. Evans off the block. That's good.
And that's one of the reasons why Mallory Downing is in that libero jersey. Coach said he really thinks she's elite as a secondary setter. And she put that ball in a nice window there for Casey Evans, who had to receive it over her shoulder. That's a really difficult swing.
Now it's 20-12, and Georgia's got its foot on the gas here, trying to speed to the finish line and take its first set.
Couple errors here for Auburn, so Georgia applying the pressure, and Auburn feeling it right now. Not the response you would want here. That's a situation where you want to create a longer rally, keep your team in it, put that ball in bounds, force Georgia to earn the point.
Kendall Kemp, look out.
Perfect pass from Akasha Anderson, who just had a couple hitting errors, so a good response from her. Step back into the passing line, perfect pass, and that opens up some offensive options, particularly Kendall Kemp, who comes through with a really nice rip.
But to go back to your point about the errors, first 2 sets, Auburn 5 attack errors. They have 7 this set. Speaking of one, Fisher's mishit there now gets it back to a 6-point set.
The success of the defense over the course of a match creates errors, forces errors, because you start trying to do things that you're uncomfortable with. We see that there from Sophie Fisher. We've seen it from Akasha Anderson. So you have to credit the defenders on both sides of the court for creating some of these errors.
Downing sets it high. Fisher right into the block. That's now 3 in a row.
Kendall Kemp, welcome back to the court. If you're an Auburn fan, a couple big points from her here.
She had missed the last 3, so turnstile Bella Bell goes out today. She's in the boot. However, Kemp cleared to play. Similar ankle injury.
Obviously, they'd like to have them all at once, but if you have to lose another, at least they regain Kemp.
You mentioned it. Crouch and his staff, Rachel Corbelli, Keith Smith, Jack Burton, they have had to juggle the bevy of injuries.
And of course, Georgia down to only 2 middle blockers. They're short a couple middle blockers as well.
And so Anderson exploits that. 5-point set again. That's now 14 for Anderson. That's a match high. So here's the list. This is not a list you want to be too long.
Yeah, and those highlighted out today, including Zoe Slaughter, who up to today had played in every set of the year for Auburn. So without Lanham and Slaughter, second and third passers, and we know how important that passing lineup is.
Getting a little tighter.
Yeah.
Bell really buying into that role. It was something that she was, as Crouch mentioned, really excited about. Georgia now is 3 points away. I think not surprising to see Georgia here very close to picking up a set win. Boy, that 0-2 mark, it's just got to sting and burn a lot of these players. 2 5-set losses to 2 ranked teams.
Well, Coach Black said coming into the weekend, we know there's another level we can go. And it looks like they're finding it here in this third set.
2 points away now after Tori Harper takes a little speed off that one, converts her 6th kill. She's hitting above 500 now. Actually right at 500 for this match on 12 swings.
I think Coach Black feels like there is just a wealth of potential in Tori Harper that they're just tapping into.
She has stepped up in these big games. Played really well in the win against Georgia Tech. That was on the road. Hit 350 on Friday against Kentucky. When her number has been called, you're right. More often than not, she's answering.
Wouldn't want anyone else than Chelsea Harmon at the service line. She's been good there.
Oh, but Evans still on her thunder.
Yeah, and that's exactly why that's a really important kill from Casey Evans, because you want to get Chelsea Harmon off the service line.
Auburn took the first 2 sets. Best 3 out of 5. Georgia in position to pick one up here. Shear is blocked, and the Bulldogs have claimed set 3. They needed it, 25-18. It's the largest point difference afternoon in particular.
Well, I think the biggest highlight of Tori Harper today is that efficiency at 500, because Coach Black specifically said if we can be more efficient from the right side, it's going to help our left pins to have some better looks as well. And I've mentioned the fact that Madison Shear had such a great day in terms of being really efficient. Tori Harper right on her heels, because guess what? Tori Harper is without an error so far today. 6 kills on 12 swings with that 500 hitting efficiency is exactly what Coach Black was looking for.
Again, she only averages, as you saw, that 1.6 per set. Stepping up today, as is Estelle Haugen, who converted the first kill for Georgia. The error gives Auburn possession. So the 24th ranked Tigers, they lost on Wednesday. They're trying not to fall out of the top 25. They had never appeared inside the AVCA top 25 until this year, a couple of weeks ago. 2-1.
Really nice serve by Sarah Morton, who, as we mentioned early in the match, has been battling a shoulder injury. And Coach said at Arkansas that really impacted her ability to serve. And she didn't want to go back and just serve lollipops in bounds. She was still trying to really serve a nice ball in bounds, and she was hampered by the shoulder for sure.
Clara Brower to Sophie Fisher. So the star may be igniting.
That's an area of the court that Auburn is looking to exploit from the service line. That deep right back corner can be very difficult for a setter to receive the ball over her shoulder, and even more difficult to turn and then set a quick ball to her middle blocker, which is what Clara Brower just did, and did it with ease.
Yeah, a junior from right outside of H-Town, the Woodlands, Texas. This is her counterpart, Jackie Barrett, feeds Anderson. Point Georgia, that was just long.
Kasha Anderson, unfortunately, quite a few errors in that 3rd set, and now starts off the 4th set with another ball out of bounds as well.
Kemp pops that one up. Anderson, good reflexes. Downing matches what the Tigers do. Auburn could go back to work. That's Evans, done some great work on the back row defensively, and then Fisher finishes it off.
But you are so right, Kevin. I mean, what Evans is doing from corner to corner in that middle back position, you cover a lot of ground, and Casey Evans is the one with the transition dig there that makes that possible.
So let's see, she's got 7 now. Again, she was a little sour. She was left on 999 for her career on Friday, so she's going to make sure she got 1,000. That one does hit off the Georgia block.
The Barrett
floats out of bounds.
That Barrett to Kemp connection, they're just so high above the net with the 6'2" setter, 6'6" Kendall Kemp. If you can get a perfect pass, that's where I'm going with the ball.
And Kemp is by far, probably by a couple inches above everybody else, the tallest on the floor. Cox to Brower, Haugen, denied again by Kemp.
And I think that is what surprises people who watch college volleyball. You see a 6'6" Kemp and you think, yeah, but you know, what's her movement like from side to side? Well, this is what it's like, by the way. Look at the close to her right. Just such nice footwork.
And that's almost more important for coaches, right? The lateral quickness in that situation.
Definitely.
See what Haugen delivers this time. She's trying to plead her case. I think Auburn's going to challenge this one pretty quickly. It was ruled that that one hit the end line. Crouch, he grabs the, we've seen the neon green challenge card a few times. That might have been the quickest to the holster there.
I think it is. Well, they have several coaches on the bench who literally are sitting on the inline extended. I mean, they have the perfect view.
Yeah.
And those coaches were very quick to indicate that they felt this ball was out of bounds.
Again, ruled in. Yeah, I think you see even a little blue.
It was just shown in the arena, and you heard a little bit of a reaction there from the crowd as they would tend to agree that this one was out of bounds.
This view would be the one. Oh boy, maybe closer than we initially thought, but does it not look like there's a little sliver of blue there between white end line and ball?
And does the line judge actually indicate a touch? Does she go to the top of her flag indicating a touch, or does she indicate out of bounds?
Watch the bottom right then. We can play this out.
Because I think she indicates, no. She started to indicate touch and then changed it to in. So the call was in. Okay, interesting.
And that point down signals in. If the flag is raised over the head, out.
Yeah, and when she touches the top of the flag, yeah, the T there is the touch. So she actually did indicate in.
Brent Crouch always teaching.
Yeah.
He's the teacher through and through, isn't he? He's from Texas. Texas A&M club volleyball legend, if you will. But he was telling us his wife is from Los Angeles, so he spent a lot of time on the West Coast. He's early in his career. We flash it back, right? He's early in his career. He's trying to figure out, I love coaching. Do I stick with it? But he always wanted to teach, so he takes an assistant teaching position at the University of Oregon, full-time gig. Missy, though, he's in Eugene. He's teaching 500-person classes. He goes, this whole lecture hall thing is not what I signed up for, so he bails on that. Takes the assistant job at St. Mary's. Hasn't looked back since. 10th year now as a Division I head volleyball coach, so I think that was the right call.
And we mentioned that these two have a whole lot of history. Coach Crouch told us a story about working a camp at UCSB for Tom Black.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, we're going to do a serving demo here. And Coach Black said, you need to do it like this. And Coach Crouch said, well, that's not how I serve. And he said, well, that's how you're going to do it for this demo.
Yeah, if he was holding any ill will, he served it right back when Auburn beat him twice last year in this building. Of course, all kidding aside, those two have great respect and some of a long history, friendly relationship in this coaching biz. Here's Anderson. Yeah, you had to force Cox there to go after it, so good decision. Yeah,
very good decision. Georgia tends to play fairly shallow in the court defensively, and because they have some very small defenders, the high deep shot and the ball high off blockers' hands is a hard ball for them to chase down.
Auburn in the midst of a 4-0 scoring run. Brower back set, Fisher. Here's a free ball. Right back to the stud. Looked like it tipped off of Anderson, point Georgia.
And what does Sophie Fisher do? She goes hard angle. Zimmerman's able to dig that up. They set her again, and she turns the next one down the line. She's got every shot. See how far she comes off the court, and this time a 2-foot approach. So she's comfortable off 1 foot, 2 foot, in front, behind, so versatile.
Zimmerman, that time with a sledgehammer from the back row, it looked.
And Zimmerman has played as a back row player specifically in some matches this year for Auburn. So her only ability in those particular matches was to attack out of the back row. And so she's really increased her ability there.
Nice numbers. The 5 kills, again, is a complimentary piece, and the 6 digs. Fisher, change up. Morton was able to slide the left hand underneath it. Shear again, just wide. Georgia back within 1.
The late block touch there, though, from Kemp on the Sophie Fisher attack was really key. Those blockers work so hard. And when we look at the stats and you see blocks, those are only blocks that end rallies. Those are stuff blocks. But if you count over the course of the match how many times someone like Sophie Fisher is touching an attack, the block touches, that's what the coaches are concerned about. That's the number they're keeping track of, because that is what allows those defenders behind them to play up so many balls.
All right, here we go. She's got the 19 aces on the year. Auburn able to handle it. Shear now is beginning to be bothered perhaps by that block. A touch. That might have even surprised Shear.
Wow, okay, it's the up official right in front of him. He's the one that was able to see it. Take a look again, everything bunched up here. Oh yes, and it's that Clara Brower right hand. What a smart swing from Shear. I've been so impressed by her today.
Now 12 kills, so she's 3 behind Anderson. Madison Shear hitting .458.
That's from the left pin. Incredible number.
Back to Shear. Got it! Oh, precision kill in the back left corner.
High, deep corners. Both she and Akasha Anderson are just going at them.
So the hit percentage is .480. For perspective, I mean, what is normally a good number?
From the left side, if you're hitting .250 as a coach, I'd be thrilled with that. I mean, this is sort of like a batting average if you follow baseball. I mean, this is a huge number, and you might see this number from a middle blocker who takes more in-system looks, but not from the left side.
Evans punches right back. Nice response.
And I know I've said it, but I just cannot overemphasize the fact that what Casey Evans does for Georgia, her attempts come in really difficult situations, when the pass isn't there, when the ball is well off the net, when there's 2 blockers waiting for her. And so the production that she's able to create is so impressive.
Even considering that, a gaudy hit percentage herself. Auburn slides that one in. 3-point advantage in set 4. Remember, Auburn's got 2 sets to 1 lead.
The Kyla Swanson story, very interesting in that Auburn makes the NCAA tournament a year ago and goes to Creighton. Well, Kyla Swanson just happens to be from the state of Nebraska and goes and watches them play in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Obviously, she liked what she saw. She decides to join Auburn.
She was a good luck charm. They won a game out there.
That's right.
Pancake. That one, though, it hits the padding on the right side of that net. So Georgia is back within 1. Although we may have a challenge.
Coach Crouch asking Madison Shear a question here.
Yeah, we just saw the R2, pardon me, David Dufresne. He glanced at our first referee, of course, who's up on the chair there, Brian Hemmelgren, kind of flashed a look at him almost to get his assessment if he noticed anything. There's Hemmelgren. Maybe something that just happened on the left side of this net, right around.
Yeah, because the challenge can be
right
at
here.
Any point during the rally. That's how the point ended. The challenge can even be for something early in the rally, like a net violation that a coach sees early in the rally. So there's a lot of different things, and sometimes it can take a while, obviously, for the replay official, particularly if it's something that happened earlier in the rally, of just finding the correct point, that's the correct spot that's being challenged.
And Crouch, Missy, went to the challenge card very quickly. So here's the full point, how it plays out.
Now I know. He does not think that Madison Shear, he does not believe Madison Shear touched that ball early in the rally. So in the first attempt from the right side, that's why the discussion with Madison Shear. And she looked at the official there and shook her head no. Then you saw Coach Crouch ask Madison Shear, did you touch that? No. That's when he goes to the challenge card. So early in the rally, the up official believed that there had been contact made. Right there, you saw already from the Georgia bench, they were saying, was that ball touched? And so if Madison Shear didn't touch that first swing, it would have been 4 contacts against Georgia early in the rally.
Actually, Crouch, if anybody caught the reaction, he throws his arms out right in that moment. And was ready to pull the challenge card.
And the
very quickly.
When the point did conclude, Madison Cheer obviously continues playing, but when the point did conclude, she made a quick look at the up official and shook her head no, I think indicating, hey, early in that rally, I didn't touch that ball.
Wow, Georgia, though, is still awarded the point. The score will hold 10-8. Yeah, right there.
Yep.
There's the signal.
And so often, you know, it's inconclusive and there's just not enough evidence. The call on the floor is very important, that first call that's made.
So one more challenge remaining for Georgia, none for Auburn. Remember, each team gets one back if we do go to a 5th set. Auburn leads by 3, and maybe the way things are going for the Tigers, they don't want to get there.
I was going to say, I think Coach Crouch goes to that challenge card quickly and goes ahead and uses it because he would like not to go to a 5th set, if at all possible.
For Georgia, second match in basically, what, 40, 45 hours. Lost a agonizing 5-setter to Kentucky at home on Friday. Turnaround, early start time Sunday afternoon. And after taking the 3rd set, the only path now is to force a 5th.
Beautiful push down the line there by Estelle Haugen, who continues to impress. One of the new young faces in this league, but one of the reasons why this league is a league on the rise.
That's long. Brower to Harper. Haugen's got to get it over here, but went around the pin. So the point is awarded to Auburn.
Exactly right. The ball has to travel over the net between the antennas. That one did not. And for Georgia, a brutal start to conference play as they face Florida, then Kentucky, and now Auburn, 3 consecutive ranked teams. The prior 2 matches have gone to 5 sets, and both heartbreaking losses for the Dogs.
And that'll all be factored in when we're sorting out resumes, of course, the end of November. Nice find that. Tori Harper just keeps finding the soft spots of the floor, and another kill.
Yeah, Tori Harper, a rising star. She continues her performance with 0 errors so far today. Make it 7 kills now for her on 14 swings. That 500 hitting efficiency.
Okay, so back-to-back for the Dogs.
Again, Auburn out a couple of their passers today, players who would normally be in the serve-receive lineup. And up to this point, we really feel like both serve-receive lineups have held up quite well today. There have been some errors from the service line, 13 for Georgia and 12 for Auburn, but not a lot of aces to be had.
Slaughter and Lanham, the 2 starters on that back row. You mentioned they are out. You just saw one of them right there.
That was Slaughter, who's missing her first sets of the entire year here today.
Anderson puts it down.
Akash Anderson, who doesn't have the highest hitting efficiency today, chooses a really wise shot here and just goes for the nice drop shot over the block. Realize while she's hitting at only around 100, she's approaching 50 attempts on the day. And so there is a reason for that lower hitting efficiency. It is deflated by the fact that she takes so many looks for Auburn.
Fisher with a BB cross-court kill.
Her range, her high contact point, so incredibly difficult to defend. And then you combine that with the fact that she's comfortable off 1 foot. We've seen her with kills from the right side off 2 feet, that time to 1 foot, which allows her to turn and hit a sharp angle.
To use the word from earlier, dynamic. You've mentioned that several times to describe Fisher. Morton digs it out. Anderson, no touch. Oh, there was. Yeah, Tom Black ready to throw in the card here, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sophie Fisher with the finger wag said, oh, no, no, no. And honestly, I don't think she could have. She was literally falling to her right there. I'm not sure that she could have gotten a piece of that. Early in the rally, she had a really nice block touch, which kept things alive for Georgia. But if you notice, she's slow to close and actually falls a little after her movement there. So I don't think she got a piece of that one. I think Sophie Fisher would be the first to say, I wish I would have gotten there a little quicker. I wish I could have closed that block, but that time the hole may work to Georgia's advantage if this ball is called long. Georgia feeling pretty confident here that this ball is going to be ruled out of bounds. You can tell from the expression on the player's face, they just say absolutely no chance. So they're going to be pretty surprised if this one goes Auburn's way.
This might be a really good look. See if there's some space between ball and fingers right here.
Okay.
From Fisher, that is. Yeah, that might tell the tale, that freeze frame right there. So no touch is the call. Georgia gets one back, so that's why it's important to have one of those challenges in your back pocket later in a match.
Yeah, and because Coach Black was successful with his challenge, he retains that card. Yes, absolutely.
Again, if we go to a fifth, each team gets one more, regardless whether you have none or not.
However, you can only carry 2 into that shortened fifth set.
Barrett tried to sneak it over. Big swing. Oh, is there another Auburn point? So Kemp, with the dump over, just had to get it over to that Georgia side. Puts everybody in a chaotic sequence on that side of the floor, and so Auburn gets the point.
Tell you, we've seen some really pretty volleyball today. That point doesn't qualify as one of our prettier points, but just as important if you're Auburn.
Even saw the sheepish smile on Kemp's face after the sequence. 3-point lead. Make it a 2-point advantage now for the Tigers.
And absolutely no surprise that Clara Brower goes to the dump, because just moments ago, it was Jackie Barrett of Auburn who sent one over. And the setter battle within a match is a thing, let me tell you.
I think that almost acts as a reminder to your counterpart to say, wait a second.
Wait a second.
I might be able to do that.
Yes.
You know, I would say the service error and ace numbers, they're pretty even between both teams.
They really are.
Auburn just clearly hitting a little better than Georgia today overall. Auburn as a team, 261. Georgia, 200. Fisher. Yes. Good idea.
Very smart. Block help coming from the left side. That's going to open some court in left front. And then Chelsea Harmon had just served. So often when you've served, getting all the way into the court for a short tip shot is very difficult.
So now Brower to serve it away. She has 19 aces this year, but that one hits the top of the tape.
And that, I think, is where Coach Black would say we need to be better in the middle of a set. At the end of a set, it's one thing to have a missed serve, but you don't want to have back-to-back missed serves right there.
And so Auburn.
It just felt, it was a match that just left you shaking your head.
Yeah.
You know, you just felt like, wow, we just got to kind of get back on the bus and go home and hit reset.
They have done that. Wow, Anderson with the quick reflexes, punching that one in the air. Georgia back on the attack, and it's Harper. Finally denied. 4-point edge.
More Madison Shear, by the way. We talked about her offensively. Well, defensively, no slouch.
The Auburn block, they've got 5 today. Harper neutralized again. into the net. Auburn is 5 away from a match victory.
And right now, the mental response from Georgia is going to become so important. They've been pushed to the brink, come out on the short end. Those last 2 big matches against ranked opponents. Here they are again on the road, another ranked opponent. Mentally, can they respond here?
Oh, they get one back right there. They drop two really tight ones, sets 1 and 2, 25-23 each set. They punch back with a 25-18 set 3 win. Still find themselves down 4. It's a tough back-to-back. They play Friday night, Sunday afternoon against 2 ranked teams.
With a travel day in between.
Yep.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Back to Swanson. Barrett was trying to feed her. Evans, that's the heat again. 16 kills.
A very familiar trend for Georgia. Late in sets, in those moments where it feels big, it feels heavy. Who do they find? They find Casey Evans.
5th-year senior from Ohio. He's going to leave as one of the better dogs in program history. And so this is back-to-back for the Bulldogs. They have no timeouts. Auburn has 2, keep in mind. Sometimes coaches always use those maybe to kill some momentum. Point Georgia. They get 3 in a row. Yeah, okay. I think Crouch is going to use one.
Yeah.
He wants to put an end to this momentum any way he can with his team in position if it closes this set out to pick up its second. Auburn trying to capitalize on the moment right now with the crowd behind it. Their 5-point lead is nearly evaporated. It's now 3, make it 1.
Madison Shear thinking there's some open angle there. Takes a big swing, and we've talked about the athleticism of Estelle Haugen. She reaches into that angle and just steals a kill there.
So Georgia up against the ropes has a chance to knot things up in the 4th set. Blocked. Auburn with the response. There is Shear again.
Jackie Barrett goes right back to her. They've got this little battle going over there at that far pin. Estelle Haugen won round 1. Madison Shear wins round 2.
This is Thibault to serve it away. Brower finds Harper. Anderson. Barrett to Swanson. Georgia now has another chance to respond. Who wants it? Anderson off the block.
Extended rally and really controlled play on both sides of the net. You see Akasha Anderson, even over the course of a long rally, did a nice job of giving herself an approach. You know, didn't just hang out at the net there, but worked hard in transition. Thibault, by the way, with a beautiful dig early in that rally on what was a free ball opportunity for Georgia, and she kept Auburn in that one.
Got to win 3 sets, best 3 out of 5. Auburn took the first 2. Georgia won the 3rd. Serving down 2 in the 4th set. Critical early conference battle between 2 top half teams in the league, you would think, this season. Barrett rises. Fisher asking for a touch. Nope. Missed it wide.
She's swinging away from the block help. Akasha Anderson coming in from the left side. Sophie Fisher very aware of that. And again, it's an example of good block setup, good block touches that as the match goes on create some errors.
Brower sets it high to Harper. That's wide. It is match point for the Auburn Tigers. The shorthanded Tigers today, on the heels of a disheartening loss on Wednesday, looking to even their conference mark against a good Georgia team. This is Fisher. Georgia needs one. It winds up wide. Auburn wins.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is the best 0-3 team in the Southeastern Conference.
Yes.
Georgia has good things ahead. They've come through the gauntlet. They get a little break in their schedule. But if you're Auburn, what a great response for...
तोरा याद में आंसुआ बहे छे दिलवा रोए गिरान तोरा याद में आंसुआ बहे छे दिलवा रोए जान
गंगाजल रिकॉर्डिंग स्टूडियो महादेवगंज साहेबगंज।
के करा सहारे रहबै के करा से तू बोलिया बोलबै अशोक अकेला के कहलू कि साथ न छोड़बै के करा सहारे रहबै के करा से तू बोलिया बोलबै अशोक अकेला के कहलू कि साथ न छोड़ब के रानी सोमी लागे आंसुआ गिरैले देहिया काप के लगे जा के रानी हमर अखिया से